Hey everyone, my name is Perry, and welcome back to the Cassette Phase. So, happy Monday to you, if there is such a thing. But I hope that your week is off to a good start. I wanted to just pop on here for a few minutes today to talk about a few more forgotten TV shows from the 80s and the early 90s. And this time, the focus is going to be strictly on kids' shows from the 80s and the early 90s. Because for me, television is one of the most powerful initiators of those warm and fuzzy feelings of nostalgia. Whether that's memories of Saturday morning cartoons, which I've shared a few times now here on the channel, or evening sitcoms and all of the wholesome laughs that those brought. TV was such a big part of our lives as kids in the 80s and the 90s, so it's always fun to revisit that old familiar glow. And you don't even have to watch a full episode to be transported back in time. Sometimes just the opening theme song is enough. Or even hearing things like old network and studio bumpers, like "This is CBS" or "Sit, Ubu, sit, good dog." And today, we're going to talk about a few different kids shows that I consider to be forgotten from our favorite era. Now, as followers of nostalgia-based YouTube channels, not all of these are going to be forgotten for all of you, but hopefully we can unlock a few memories today and just have some fun talking TV here in the den. And of course, we've got the cassette of the day. So if you're up for a fun little trip back to a very simple time here on a Monday, come hang out. Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman for the next installment in the cassette of the day, where I want to talk about an audio cassette today. And this one is a cassette single. Remember that when you could buy just like the single for your favorite songs back then? You could do it with CDs as well a little bit later. And this one was for a song that you could not escape back in the late 80s, especially in the summertime. It just had that feel to it, and it was one of my favorite songs from back then, and I still enjoy it to this day, even though I've heard it a million times at this point. And it comes to us from the Beach Boys on a single for "Still Cruisin'," actually. But the song that I'm referencing is "Kokomo," which was on this tape, along with the song "Still Cruisin'." Now, this was one of the first cassettes that I had in my bedroom as a kid, and I wore it out. It got so much play. Kokomo was a song, like I said, was just everywhere. I'm pretty sure that the cast of Full House sang it with the Beach Boys on one of their episodes. It's one of those songs that I remember playing on the jukebox at Pizza Hut. I remember one of my friends having a birthday party at a party bus, which was like a converted school bus that was full of like arcade games. So you loaded up onto this painted school bus, and it had Frogger and Miss Pac-Man and some of the cocktail table style arcade machines, along with a jukebox. And I remember my friends being like, "Hey, play Kokomo," and so we did. Just a good old summer song. I'm sure everyone's heard it. Now that said, if you haven't heard "Still Cruisin'," and for whatever reason, it's not the easiest song to find. It's not on, Spotify or Apple Music that I'm aware of. There is like kind of a rough upload on YouTube, so you can at least check the song out if you want to. But it's got a great old feel. It's still, you can definitely tell it's the Beach Boys, but it's got a little bit of that late 80s production value on it. So just two really good songs. I used to just play it, flip it over, and play it again until I was tired of it. But I'm happy to have it back in my collection. I think it's a good choice for today's cassette of the day. Okay, let's do some reminiscing about some great old kids TV shows that maybe we had forgotten about for a while, but were important to us as kids in the 80s and the 90s. Now, if you watched my most recent video where I talked about the book fair and school libraries, you heard me tease this one a little bit when I was talking about some of those paperback books that I was showing. And that was for a show called Ramona. I think it was just called Ramona. And of course it was based on the Beverly Cleary Ramona book series. Ramona the Pest, Ramona Quimby, age 8, Ramona and her mother, Ramona and her father, Ramona and Beezus, all those types of things. And this was a very short-lived show, 1 season, 10 episodes, half hour each, ran from 1988 to 1989. And that makes sense because I remember seeing this show at a babysitter's house. So it was probably maybe in the summertime. I would have been, 7 years old. So not quite just staying home by myself just yet. That was not far. That wasn't far down the road at that point, but I wasn't quite there yet. So yeah, I just remember sitting in the, kind of like an old lady bedroom, doilies, rocking chairs, roughly curtains, and a small little CRT TV that I don't think had cable, but it had PBS. And so I clicked it on one day and found this Ramona show. Now this is on YouTube, and I'm going to try to put some clips in and things as I go along here, but it has just a very warm and nostalgic feel to it. Everything about it. The theme song, the end credits, the way the house looks, the way the people are dressed, all of that. Just a great little snapshot from a very specific point in time. So does anyone else remember the TV show adaptation of Ramona? And if you don't remember it, or if you've never seen it, I highly recommend at least watching, the theme song and maybe like the first few minutes of an episode, just so you could take in all the great 80s scenery. So for this next one, we're going to stay in the 80s, but this time we're going to take a look at a cartoon. One of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid, and that's surprising because I never had any toys for it. I don't know that there actually were ever toys for this cartoon, at least not in the United States. And that is from 1987. We've got Dino Saucers.
We used to be 4 ordinary teenagers, until one day we met some new friends from out of town. They were called Dinosaurs. My friends and I became the secret scouts, allies to these Dinosaurs from outer space, and joined in their battles against Genghis Rex and the evil Tyrannos. The Dinosaurs are leaving, Bossasaur.
Well, follow them!
Not Dino Riders, not Denver the Last Dinosaur. No, we've got Dino Saucers, which was kind of like an alien sci-fi take on, battling dinosaurs, as epic as that sounds. But yeah, again, just 1 season, although it was like a giant season. So this must have run like after school, because it was 65 episodes. Also, many of these on YouTube. But just a great, really cool aesthetic. Really cool theme song, very 80s. And just, yeah, again, like one that I wish had action figures. We've got all these toy companies that are going back and redoing things like Sectars and a lot of the other stuff that we watched as kids. I would love to see one of them go back and make a toy line based on a show like this that maybe we didn't have toys or access to toys for some of these shows. So if anybody stumbles their way onto my little YouTube corner here, And it has an in with anybody at any of those companies. Let's get some Dino-Saucers action figures, please. Just such a great, fun show. Definitely a product of its time, but hey, we love it all the same. Check it out if you haven't. Highly recommended. Now, I credit some of my very earliest TV memories to these next two shows. And first up, we've got Pinwheel. Which I watched on Nickelodeon. In fact, I think this was the very first show to air on the rebranded Nickelodeon. I forgot what the channel was called before that, but when it became Nickelodeon, I think the first thing to hit their airwaves was this Pinwheel show. And here I've got another image of it. Hold on here. With the house. Yeah, but like I said, we're going back to like my earliest television memories with some of these. So this ran from 1979 to 1990. You know, and some of my first nostalgic encounters. You know, when you grow up and you first start realizing that you miss some of the stuff from childhood, and you go back and rediscover things for the very first time. One of the very first things that sent me down that rabbit hole was going back and looking at old segments from this show, from Pinwheel, and hearing the songs and seeing the images and just having memory after memory unlocked. You know, these are deeply seated, deeply rooted core memories that came back to the surface from this one. So let's see some of the characters. We had Ebenezer T. Squint. We had Plus and Minus, who were kind of like Bert and Ernie, but they played a game called Gotcha Last, like a little tag game that they played all the time. You had Silas the Snail, you had the Hobo Bugs, and then some of the segments. Bunny in the Suitcase. Does that take you back? Of course, you had things like Curious George and Paddington, but you also had Hattitown Tales, and so many others. You know, just great memories with Pinwheel. And the other show that is kind of responsible for some of my very earliest memories was a show called Today's Special.
Well, I guess that's all locked up tight now, as it should be. Hi there, Jody.
Oh, hi, Sam.
Well, everything's all safe down here. Let's go upstairs. Need a hand with him? Is he too heavy?
No, I can manage fine, thank you.
Well, on our way to the children's department once again. Okay, it's clear. The customers have all gone home now.
Special, it's for everyone. Today's special, come join in the fun. With magic everywhere,
A world for us to share.
and friendly faces, hoping that you want to meet us there. For today's special, it's about to appear, it's about to appear. Today's special, shout it loud and clear. Today's special.
Today's special
is adventure.
And I think you've seen I have a coffee mug with that logo on it. Love that thing. But yeah, this was a TV Ontario thing originally, right? Based on a department store in Toronto. Now this was 7 seasons, 122 episodes, ran from 81 to 87 originally. And I just remember things like, this guy Jeff, he was a mannequin that would come to life whenever you said hocus pocus, alamagocus. And he would dance around the department store after a little song would play. I just remember that. So his name was Jeff, and then you had Jody, which was the lady here. Now this guy was Sam Crenshaw. I think he was like the security guard of the department store. And then you had Muffy Mouse right here, one of these little puppets. And this was one of those where each episode was based on like a certain concept. So after the intro song, they would say, "Today's special is," and then they'd give you the word for whatever the word of the episode was. And it could have been like hats, or today's special is snow, or camping, or balloons, or whatever. Just so many simple little stories, always wrapped up neatly with a nice little bow at the end of each episode. But yeah, just a really fun one. Anyone else remember visiting the old department store with the gang here from Today's Special? Okay, so we've made our way into the very early 90s here, with a show that just feels like summertime to me. It's one of these kind of like physical challenge, game show, competition-based shows for kids that I feel like was always on in the summertime for whatever reason. I just remember, being home from school with sun shining in the window, sitting on the carpet, and watching shows like Wild and Crazy Kids.
Welcome to Wild and Crazy Kids, the show that goes anywhere and does anything to find kids having fun. With your hosts, Annette Chavez, Omar Gooding, and Donnie Jeffco.
Now, you could say this about a lot of these like game show type, productions that were on Nickelodeon back in the day, but I really wanted to go on this one. Of course I wanted to go on Double Dare, and Legends of the Hidden Temple, and later on Guts, and see if I could scale the aggro crag, but Wild and Crazy Kids just looked like so much fun. And if I remember correctly, they traveled around to different communities, different schools, different camps, and had the kids come out and do all these challenges, and they would film it. A lot of times it involved water, or swimming pools or lakes, or sometimes it involved somebody getting pied in the face as a result of the challenge or whatever it was. Very Nickelodeon at the time. And these hosts, you had Omar Gooding, and you had Annette Chavez, and then you had Donnie Jeffcoat. And then I think for the final season, there was like a redheaded girl named Jessica Gaines. Yeah, so lots of good memories in the summertime with Wild and Crazy Kids. I can actually remember trying to recreate some of these challenges out in the front yard with some of the neighborhood kids. Anyone else love this old show? And for the last one for today, I lumped together at least 4 shows. And we're doing cartoons again here. And I put this at the end originally because I thought that these were 90s shows, very early 90s. And they did stretch into that time period, but it turns out that this block started in the late 80s. So like 88, I think, and on into, I think it ran through 93. And this was a group of cartoons that ran on Nick Jr. And I was getting a little old for some of these at the time, but I did have a younger brother, and we would be home together a lot of times during the summer by ourselves. As an 8 or a 9-year-old, I was still okay watching some of these shows, and I'm going to show you an image with all 4 of them here. So we've got David the Gnome. We've got a show called Noozles. Similar to Noozles with the koalas, we had The Adventures of the Little Koala. And then finally we had Maya the Bee. And I think, if I remember correctly, these would come on before like Eureka's Castle and some of the other like early 90s Nickelodeon shows. Yeah, just memories of, again, summertime, bowl of cereal. You know, maybe you're not ready to play Nintendo yet. You're just kind of waking up, you know, wiping the sleep from your eyes and catching some cartoons. I've got the iPad here showing pictures because I don't have a whole lot of items to show you guys here at the Ottoman today. I do have one VHS tape from one of these shows. I've got this Noozles tape here. And you can tell by the animation and some of the, you know, the characteristics and qualities of these shows that some of these were imports. You know, they came from Japan and they were translated or dubbed to English. Definitely Noozles, and definitely the Littlest Koala too. But I'm actually excited to go back and edit this video and put in some theme songs, because I don't know what it was, but they were killing it with the theme songs back when we were kids. You know, every single one of these cartoons had a really catchy and memorable theme song. If I had to say, you know, which one's my favorite, I think that David the Gnome theme song and the instrumental that plays over the ending credits, that might be one of the top 10 like cartoon theme song compositions ever, in my opinion. It just hits you in the feels. It's pure nostalgia.
Look around you. There are many things to see that some would say could never be. These things I know, it's true and I will tell you so. They are there to see if you believe. Trolls and lizards and fairy kings, birds that talk and fish that sing. And if your heart is true, then you will find them too. In every wish and dream and happy home, you will find the kingdom of the gnomes.
But these other ones are great too. You know, Brand New Day, Time to Play with Roo Bear and his friends. I mean, come on. Maya the Bee, all these Noozles. I think their names were Pinky and Blinky, and with Sandy here as the main character. So.
Brand new day, time to play with Roo Bear and his friends. Where summer never ends. Koala show you how to fly a plane, catch a wave. There's nothing we won't try. Lots to do. Fun starts here with you and me. Look up there, way up high. Koalas in the friendly little bee, playing oh so happily, buzzing here and buzzing there, busy buzzing everywhere. Maya loves and Maya cares, Maya gives and Maya shares. Maya likes to play around, but she'll never let you down. Maya, Maya the bee. Maya, Maya the bee.
Yeah, I may be going outside of the demographic of some of you guys that watch the channel. You know, you may not know the Nick Jr. stuff, but if you had little siblings or if you came along, you know, late 80s and into the early 90s, maybe you do remember some of this stuff. But let me know. I've just got great fond memories of some of these cartoons.
And there we are. So I hope that you all had fun reminiscing with me here today. And if you did, consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to like the video, but only if you liked the video. But for now, and as always, relax. Enjoy life and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.